In this episode, I'm going to be sharing with you my material blacklist, materials that should just never be within a healthy home. And I'm going to break them down into 4 different areas so you know what to look out for. But if you're new here, I'm Christine. I'm a licensed general contractor here in Southern California and a construction consultant on healthy new builds all over the US so you can build it right from the start. And best way to start off with building a healthier home is to know what materials to avoid. And many of these materials that I have on my list are conventional building materials. They are used all the time. And it's, I think, just because people don't understand how it can impact your health and indoor air quality. But if you have materials in your home that are on this list, don't be alarmed. Just have an awareness around it. And if you are planning a new build, again, have an awareness around why they may not be the best choice for your home and use it as a catalyst to have a conversation with your entire design and build team to see what other options there are out there. Because every building material that is going into your home, even down to the vapor barrier that is laid before your slab is poured, every single selection, there is a good, better, best option. That is how we approach all of our consulting projects because there's different project sizes, different budgets, and also different availability in regions all around the US. And so being able to make an informed decision is really where you're going to get your confidence from in the outcome of your home. So when we're looking at materials that should be avoided, I start with what is going to have the biggest impact by volume. So sure, we could talk about like silicone and sealants and grout and like some of these topics, but they're not going to have the biggest impact by volume. What I mean by that is one of the best selections that you can make on the interior is your insulation, because it is going in every exterior wall of your home, probably also some of the interior walls. And by volume, it is going to have an impact on your indoor air quality. Another would be related to the paint that's going on every wall within your home. And that is where our first blacklist item comes from. It's your conventional paint. So by volume, the paint in your home is going to have a big impact, at least in the short term indoor air quality of your home, depending on how long it's going to off gas. But we have a process that avoids just conventional latex, low VOC paint. All paints are going to be low VOC because of standards. But conventional paint, there are other chemicals and possible fungicides within them. So conventional paint, 0 VOC is better, but there are other things that may be in there besides just the VOC. So avoiding a conventional paint, that could look like swapping to a 0 VOC paint. Even better if you can go to a mineral-based paint, because that's going to be completely vapor open. And then even better if you can go to something like a clay-based plaster or a plaster finish that's actually helping control the humidity within the environment. So really try to see if you can avoid conventional paint. It's typically like a low VOC paint variety because it's not just on your walls. If you're also doing custom cabinetry, you have lacquers and stains. Like it really starts to add up once you look at all of the painted surfaces in your home. Conventional lacquers and stains on cabinetry is one area that's really hard to swap out because usually there is a trade-off in the toxicity of it. Maybe non-toxic, but it's going to be a little bit lower performing, meaning that it's going to chip or wear a bit faster than the toxic varieties that have like a catalyzed finish and hardener in it. And so you just need to be aware of that as well when it comes to finished carpentry, like the lacquers and the stains. If you are going to go with a lower tox option, usually stains work much better because finish carpenters and finishers, they don't really love to use something new that they haven't used before because they don't know how it's going to perform. And if it starts to chip and not look great, they're going to get a call back. And so they like to use what they like to use because they know how it's going to perform. So if you can't change what's happening on the cabinetry, consider doing more stain grade cabinetry, because that's easier to just get like a clear oil instead of having to do the painted variety. And then also consider in the painting category of what's going on all of your walls, doing something like a mineral-based or clay plaster for your walls. Next is going to be MDF materials. And these are a composite wood product, and they are everywhere in new construction homes. And so MDF and even like OSB materials, oriented strand board, these are all like composite wood chip materials that are compressed. And the reason that these materials can get really toxic is, one, they use a lot of urea formaldehyde, which has been known to off-gas for some time, because they're taking all these particles and compressing them together. And so that resin is used in that process. So it's usually showing up in like OSB and formaldehyde. And so OSB is pretty commonly used either for like exterior walls or it's used for like your second level subfloor. MDF most commonly shows up for like wall paneling. That's really popular now. Also baseboards and casing. It's used for a lot of finish millwork, usually baseboards, casing, and if you have any casework around your windows. And again, by volume, like all of this can just really start to add up. That's the first concern is the formaldehyde. Second is it is just such a terrible performing material when it gets wet. It does not survive water whatsoever. If you've been in like an Airbnb rental or in an older apartment, you might see the baseboards around the showers kind of warping, or they're soft and spongy. Those are probably MDF baseboards that have had contact with water, and they're just like starting to just deteriorate and probably have even some mold growth on them. So MDF is not only a toxic material, it just performs really terribly. So we really like to swap it out for something that's a solid wood, which paint grade solid wood is usually something called poplar. Poplar wood's used quite a bit, and that can be used for baseboards, casing, millwork, wall paneling. There's a lot of different uses, but you can opt for solid wood. It's just going to be more costly. And then next is going to be the dreaded spray foam topic. And I have an entire episode all about spray foam, and I talk about it a lot on Instagram because I think there's not enough awareness around the downsides of spray foam. It is true that it performs really well from like an air sealing standpoint. Closed cell also really helps with like vapor and permeability. It is a high performing material, but it comes with some downsides. And homeowners, you need to know what those look like, because it's not a material that is easily swapped out, or if anyone is having a reaction to it, it's not something that can easily be removed. Spray foam needs to be remediated out. And if you have a home where it's going in the exterior walls and up at the underside of your roof deck for a conditioned attic, it is quite literally everywhere in your home. And if you have not lived in a home that had spray foam before, you may possibly have someone in your family that might be sensitive to it. And so if you were going to be selecting a material, you should know the good and the bad and possible like implications of it if it does need to be removed. So spray foam does state that it does have minimal off-gassing time and that it's only a 24-hour cure time and you can go back in the home, but I don't find that to be the case for many clients who have come to me with existing spray foam homes wanting to build a home completely free of spray foam. And there is just not enough on the pro side of spray foam to negate all of the cons that come with it. So that could be the off-gassing, the trapped moisture, the aspect that it is permanent. It needs to be remediated out, especially if you're planning like a future renovation. And the biggest problem with spray foam is that it requires perfection on the install. It has no tolerance for gaps or voids or crevices or delamination, and it is on-site chemistry. So you have an A and a B, and it needs to be mixed perfect to be installed. And so there's so many things that just need to go perfect for spray foam to perform really well, that the downsides to me outweigh the benefits that it have, because there are other materials that can perform well, but it's not like a a one-to-one swap. So you can't say, I don't want spray foam, I just want to put like batt insulation in its place. That's not going to achieve it. So spray foam air seals, it also handles thermal bridging, it also handles really high R value. So if you're going to eliminate that, you have to essentially put 3 or more products in its place, because it's not a one-to-one swap for really any other material. But that also goes back to the point that I've made many times before about why it's so important to have your architectural plans reflect what you are expecting. So spray foam is on my blacklist. It is not a product that I use. Of all the projects that we consult on, we are always able to find a strategy that does not need spray foam, except for the cases when we have clients that come to us mid-construction, sending us an SOS because the spray foam contractor is coming next week. That's going to be a lot harder to strategize away from a spray foam install. But last and final blacklist material I want to point on, and there are more than just these, but one that often gets looked over and is a conversation that we have with the interior design team, is avoiding vinyl products. And this shows up as vinyl wallpaper and LVP, luxury vinyl planks. No plastic products. One, vinyl wallpaper actually can act as a vapor barrier. And so although it may be beautiful, and I see less and less vinyl wallpaper now, but vinyl wallpaper can actually be trapping moisture. So if you have vinyl wallpaper, or really any wallpaper on an exterior wall, and what I mean by that is a wall that's shared with the exterior, so the interior side of an exterior wall, there should be no wallpaper, especially no vinyl wallpaper, because any sort of moisture or vapor that is coming through that exterior wall will hit the backside of that wallpaper, and you do not want that. So no vinyl wallpaper, ideally no wallpaper on exterior walls of any kind, but also no LVP. This is a plastic flooring. And if it is installed, it is going to act like a vapor barrier as well. And it is so commonly used in production builds, in flips, and they just put it down right over a concrete slab. And it may not have a vapor barrier beneath the concrete slab. So any moisture that is coming up is just hitting the backside of that plastic vapor barrier and causing problems at the backside of flooring. With trapped moisture, there is almost always going to be mold behind it. So avoiding vinyl wallpaper, avoiding LVPs, and just using good materials, because the truth is good, clean, dry building materials perform really well. We don't need to be afraid of solid wood, because if there's no moisture, then it's not going to be a problem. And if it's within its moisture content tolerance, it's not going to be a problem. It's when building materials are like a plastic material, or they're wood composite materials, or they're using more toxicity in their paint than others, that's when all of this becomes a problem. So that's what I have for you today, my material blacklist. There's many others that I would put on this list, but it really needs to be unique to your specific home and your climate and your health goals and all of that. That's exactly why we do so much consulting work. But I share a ton of free content on my Instagram. We're putting out podcast episodes on YouTube every week. So check us out on Instagram, and I will see you on the next episode.